Hey y'all, I'm Casey Bell of the Google Teacher Tribe podcast, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com and get ready because the learning begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Instant Relevance Podcast. The Instant Relevance Podcast is an educational podcast featuring the latest news and resources to make learning relevant for all students. Follow us on Twitter at InstantRel. I'm Denis Sheeran, author of Instant Relevance, using today's experiences to teach tomorrow's lessons, and Hacking Mathematics, 10 Problems That Need Solving. I'm a math teacher for 13 years and an administrator for 6, and I am excited to be podcasting.
I am Raymond Steinmetz, co-host of the Instant Relevance Podcast. I'm a K-8 math instructional coach from Rhode Island. I write and blog about a variety of topics related to education and parenting. You can find my work at www.blendedlearningmath.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at blended_math. Welcome to episode 9 of the Instant Relevance Podcast. I'm Raymond Steinmetz. Today we have another Instant Relevance mini moment for you. Denis Sheeran gives us a moment of relevance from the Cleveland Browns and Bill Belichick. We also have a little preview of our interview with EdTech advocate, writer, and innovator Rachelle Dene Poth for episode 10 of the Instant Relevance Podcast. Look for that episode next Saturday, and don't forget to rate and review our show on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at InstantRel.
Thanks, Ray. Actually, I've been doing a little homework of my own. I don't know about you, but I definitely love the NFL season here, and I was going to jump in ahead of my homework talk with something that I heard today that caught me that I thought would be an excellent thing to bring into our classrooms. And, well, I am from New Jersey, and I am not a Giants fan, which is a good thing this season. I'm actually a Bears fan because I lived in Illinois for a really long time, and they're doing well. They're atop the NFC Central, so I'm excited about that. But I guess it was yesterday, Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, the two main coaches, head coach and assistant coach for the Cleveland Browns, were fired. And what I found interesting about this was that Hugh Jackson was fired, and his record, he had, I believe it was a 22% win record during his tenure with the Browns. And so people were like, why are you firing him now? 8 games into a season. It's like, you know what? We're not firing him 8 games into a season. We're firing him 22% winning record into his career here. So we're getting rid of him. So I heard that. I'm like, hey, that's pretty interesting. And then it was followed up with, so Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's got, I think it's 67% win percentage. And the question somebody asked was, how many consecutive games in a row, starting right now, would Bill Belichick have to lose to end up with a 22% win percentage? And that was just a great sidekick. I'm like, I would send kids home with that one, playing around with it, messing around, find this thing out, go back and forth. And it turns out, I'm not going to put you in too much suspense here, he would have to lose 867 games in a row to bring his win percentage down to Hugh Jackson's win percentage right now. And I don't even know how many, that's 40 something seasons, 50 seasons consecutive of losing. So I heard that. I'm like, this is one of those great moments where you throw a question like that out for kids. You don't answer it. You just let it stew, and you see who spends his time on his own, outside of class, digging around on that information, trying to figure it out just to come back and report to you. So I don't know. What do you think about that number, man?
I thought that was pretty good. I actually just had the opportunity to be in a 4th grade classroom with a bunch of 4th grade students doing some problem solving. And we were doing, I don't know if you're familiar with the problem of the month, but kind of starts with a low floor, starts with kind of a level A task, and then works its way up through the levels and gets harder and harder. The kids were really successful with the first 2 levels, but I gave them the 3rd level. And it had to do with percentages. These were 4th graders enlarging and making a document smaller by a certain percentage. And I told the teacher, they could be working on it for 3 more days and they'll never probably get it. They would need kind of a whole 5th, 6th grade course on percentages before they'd really be able to figure it out. But these kids worked so hard on it. And, even after I left, I had another engagement. The teacher said they worked on it for another 15 minutes. And it just kind of proves that giving them a challenge and really saying, what can you do? And even I kept saying, I can give you something else. I can give you something that, you might be a little bit more familiar with, because percentages weren't something that they were totally familiar with, especially not percentages over 100% or anything like that. But anyways, I had a great time, challenging these kids and saying, they were ready. They were ready to take on something new, take on something relevant, take on something that was just different than, them being told the information. And, they got to try something with their friends and collaborate. And it was great. It was great to see.
See, I really love that. That's a super exciting way for kids to engage with math work at home. That's a great idea for a homework assignment, giving kids the opportunity to pursue something that they're passionately interested in finding the end to and solving that problem. And they'll always do that for you, and they'll bring their parents into it even and talk about it. But trying to get the kids interested in doing that, 20 homework problems for math practice is going to be a struggle with our kids today.
I love those types of questions because it's because I'm an attorney as well, and it's funny, like in my classroom, like I get to play both sides of that, and I always give the pushback, and they're like, "Oh, come on!" The kids are like, "Seriously, did you do this now?" I'm like, "I do have to."
Mm-hmm.
I can play both sides.
Are you still a practicing attorney?
Yes and no. I keep up the credits and everything, and I read up and I go to the classes. But as far as legal work, I haven't done that in a couple of years because I wanted to do criminal law, but I also did estate planning, and there's just too much in my head space right now with all the other tech and education stuff that the time to write those documents, I just don't have.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. We're all, if there's a measurable number of irons in the fire, we're well beyond it. So, so yeah, I understand why one of those things or multiples of those things slips to the side for a while and comes back in when there's a chance. So,
right.
We are incredibly excited to welcome Rachelle Dene Poth to episode 10 of the Instant Relevance Podcast. We have been connecting on Twitter, and she has, well, we were just talking about here, more irons in the fire than probably most of us. And I am impressed and curious and interested in finding out a little bit more about, Rachelle, what you have going on in your life that is exciting you. What are the things that you are most engaged with and enticed by in the future, long-term and short-term? So would you let us know a little bit more about you, where you are? I know you're just in Pittsburgh area, and tell us a little bit more about some of these exciting projects you're working on.
Okay, I teach in Pittsburgh, and I have been at my school this is my 22nd year.